Welcome into No Pun Intended, presented by Club Fantasy. This is the worst episode all year. Not because it's going to be bad. It's just because we have to talk about Aaron Rodgers. Not the team. None of us are Steelers fans. Nobody is unless you're a Steelers fan. But we have to talk about the guy that no one ever wants to talk about except Mike Greenfield, whoever the fuck hosts Get Up in the Morning, the show I'm forced to watch on ESPN for 18 minutes before I leave for the office. I don't know what's so funny. Am I like what? You have to tell me what's so funny that I said I blacked out. I don't want to talk about this team. I was really hoping we'd go to bed. It's almost 10 o'clock. I just want to sleep. It's the Steelers, folks. Let's get into it. What did I miss? I blacked out. What did I miss?
You said the same thing like 5 times. I don't want to talk about. I don't want to talk about. We don't.
And I quote,
wants to talk about.
You said, "None of us here are Steelers fans. No one is, unless you're a Steelers fan."
Yeah, but here's the thing, like, who hates the Arizona Cardinals? Nobody.
No, but you said none of us are fans. You said no one's a Steelers fan unless you're a Steelers fan.
Yeah,
obviously.
That's because everybody hates them, right? Like, no one hates the Charlotte Hornets.
Okay, I can now pick up what you were going for.
Like, no one.
By the way, I was in Montreal last week and saw 3 pieces of Charlotte Hornets gear, which I found very weird.
Because you want to know why? No one hates the Charlotte Hornets. They're not a threat to anybody.
They were never good enough to be hated. Browns. That's why.
Yeah, no one hates the Browns except Browns fans, which is weird.
Steelers fans.
It really isn't weird. Ownership has shoved it to them.
Like when the Lions were bad, did you hate the Lions? No, you were like, oh.
No. Yeah, you pitied them. You laughed at them.
Exactly. Everyone hates the Steelers. Everyone. It's like the Patriots. Everyone hates the Patriots.
The Eagles.
Unless you're a
Everybody
Patriots
hates the Eagles.
Yeah, well, you guys are dicks. Like, that's just everyone hates.
Yeah, because Patriots fans aren't dicks. Let's be real.
Hey, we're racist. Okay, first off, that's separate. All right, that's separate. Okay, you guys are just assholes.
Let's talk about the Steelers. Jesus Christ.
Generic Boston sports fan. I had you toss it up on the tee there. I don't want to talk about this team. I'm doing everything to not talk about this fucking team. 10-7.
To be fair, my laptop is probably going to die in the middle of this episode because we've been recording so long tonight. Right. So maybe I'll get out of this.
Here we go. The team is 10-7. Spoiler alert: they're not going to be any better, and they'll be one loss better. That's what this team is. They are 10-7 or 9-8. I can almost guarantee that. Lock it in right now. Same coach, Mike Tomlin. They've had 3 in their entire lifetime. Same offense, Arthur Smith. Cool. We work with Underdog, not directly, but like they're good friends of ours, and we have a promo code that Josh can put on the screen. WOFF, free pick, first time deposit. This is the best thing about this show, by the way, because nothing good is going to come from the Pittsburgh Steelers. But this, if you want to throw away money, you can get $1,000 of free money from Underdog. So it's like you didn't even lose your money in the first place. You just have to win it back, but you can get it. Promo code WOFF, free pick, first time deposit up to $1,000 cash. Be sure to like and subscribe. There's a lot. Everything. Actually, here's this. Everything we do outside this episode is so like this is the worst episode you'll watch all year.
I was gonna say
everything is better. So
not one of us is a Steelers fan. Not one of us likes Aaron Rodgers. This is going to be
This is the worst episode you're gonna watch.
This is why we're not like none of us chose to talk about Aaron Rodgers, and yet you somehow wanted to bring it up, Joe.
Yeah.
Because Ryan's highlighted player is DK Metcalf. You can't talk about the receiver without talking about his quarterback. Anyways. This is the worst episode you'll ever watch from us, and we're already hilarious 4.5 minutes in. So imagine what it's like on a good one. Just think of that in your head.
There's 20 of these for you to watch.
Yeah, there's 20 of these, and there's going to be 9 more after this one, and then we have a live show every single Wednesday. Yeah. And then during the season, we're on Saturdays. Quarterback 1, Aaron Rodgers. Quarterback 28, and it's 30 spots too high. Kaleb Johnson, RB26. Nice. Jalen Warren, RB31. Pretty decent backfield. And then Kenneth Gainwell. Wow, staying in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania at RB89. DK Metcalf, wide receiver 22. Steep drop to Roman Wilson at wide receiver 95, who is the wide receiver 2. But his wide receiver 3, Calvin Austin's going higher at wide receiver 80.
Okay.
Welcome back to a Arthur Smith offense, Jonnu Smith, tight end 12. R.I.P. Pat Fryermuth at tight end 23. Not because he's bad, but because he now has to compete with Jonnu Smith. Is it a competition?
I had him as a top 12 tight end before this trade, and that nuked it so bad.
Is it a competition? No, because Fryermuth is better. Does Arthur Smith hate good players? Also, yes. So, RIP to Fryermuth. We'll see what happens with Jonnu Smith this year. Thoughts and expectations on this team, Ryan? Because your laptop's about to die, apparently.
Nah, I should be fine. This is the first year where I am genuinely bothered by how the Steelers have pursued this offseason. And Joe, it kind of goes back to what you said. Why not just suck for a year, embrace the suck, and kind of like get your quarterback, do everything? You go and trade for DK Metcalf when you didn't have a quarterback. I assume they always knew they were getting Rodgers, but that was a weird move. The Kaleb Johnson move, that made sense. But this Jonnu Smith move is so fucking weird to me. You had a starting caliber NFL tight end, and then you go and trade for another one while swapping corners and doing all sorts of other weird shit. But then, like, the people who are excited about this, Arthur Smith is why we hated Jonnu Smith. Like, this is so weird. Everything about this offense bothers me outside of the running backs and DK Metcalf. I am a unabashed Aaron Rodgers hater. The QB 28 thing is weird to me because he did well in fantasy last year. QB 15 in fantasy, passed for almost 4,000 yards, 28 touchdowns. He's probably that low, if not lower for me. QB 28 actually on the nose. So again, I've never liked the Steelers. I've never liked Aaron Rodgers. This is a match made in hell. I'm not enthused about this offense.
Josh?
I actually think this is going to be really good for Rodgers in a weird way because Arthur Smith is going to run the fucking football. And he's not going to ask Aaron Rodgers to throw the football 580 times, plain and simple. And the biggest thing is this offense is going to take deep shots. They did it last year or the past couple of years with George Pickens. Arthur Smith did it with Drake London. He's going to do it with DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf averages 14.4 yards per reception for his career. He's got quite a few years over 15 yards per catch. He's big, he is fast, and he will win contested catches. The thing that alarms me with Rodgers is his completion percentage the last 2 years has actually come in lower than his career average. And his number one wide receiver barely averages a 60% catch rate. Like, this is not Devontae Adams as his wide receiver one. So either, you're getting a career worse from Rodgers in terms of completion percentage, which would hardly be shocking for people considering he's 41 years old. But you also need, you're going to see a lot of targets to the tight end position, and both Fryermuth and Jonnu Smith are 70% catch percent guys. So you're not going to have a lot of high volume. I don't think you're going to have a 4,000 yard passing season, but there's going to be opportunities to move the football. It's going to be a very slow-paced offense. Arthur Smith will run. Between 12 personnel and 13 personnel, they ran just those two personnel formations over 40% of their plays last year.
Wow.
That is a lot of tight ends on the field. That is why they went out and got Jonnu Smith.
I was going to say, if they're going to run a ton of 13 personnel.
And that's the thing. Jonnu, Fryermuth, Darnell Washington, all three of those guys know how to block.
Yeah. Connor Hayward.
At that point, who's on the field? It's your running back and DK Metcalf. That's where your targets are going. That's why the wide receiver 2 and wide receiver 3 are not getting drafted until at minimum wide receiver 80.
Hey, fun fact, according to the depth chart, you missed Robert Woods.
I know
Honestly,
Robert Woods is on the team.
who
I'm
is the
very well aware
starting-
that Robert Woods is on the team.
Who's the starting outside wide receiver according to the depth
Yeah.
chart right now?
I know, but again, this is projected starting lineup. Robert Woods is not going to make a dent in fantasy projections.
I'm aware. I just want you to know that Scotty
No, I
Miller
know.
and Robert Woods are above Roman Wilson on the depth chart,
I know.
which is
Well, that's because Roman
insane.
Wilson played 5 snaps last year.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I'm just that's the weapons.
Mhm.
Is Robert Woods
Well, that's what I was saying.
and Scotty Miller.
Woods is only on the team because he knows how to block.
He's a dog.
They're running that 13 personnel.
It's
baby.
at 13 personnel.
And it's Robert Woods and 3
He'll
times.
be on the field for the 12 personnel when they actually keep 2 wide receivers on the field.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm rooting for Montana Lamonius Craig,
Yeah.
undrafted wide receiver. That's who I want to see make the team.
Yeah,
Go
and
ahead,
Arthur
Ryan, you
Smith
about to
only
say something.
called 499 pass plays last year.
Oh, this guy's not making the team. He's 6'2", 194. He's not.
And
making
that
the team.
and
Go
that's
ahead,
what
Ryan.
I was kind of wondering, Josh, is I don't know how much they're going to change this offense because they have a competent quarterback.
Yeah. I think they'll
He's
change
competent.
it just enough to where Rodgers will still throw, but like you're not going to get, again, he threw 580 pass attempts last year. Like this is going to be a bottom 7 in total pass attempts offense because Arthur Smith is going to run the football. 4 out of the last 5 years, he's rushed the ball over 500 times. And all of that's going to fall on their 3rd round rookie pick.
I don't disagree, but when Rodgers throws a bitch fit, that's not going to be the case.
As long as they're winning games, it's not going to fucking matter.
They're not going to win games.
Their
is the
defense
thing.
always finds a way to help them win games.
This
And they've got
defense-
one of the best kickers in the NFL. So
This defense got bad with that trade.
they got old, really. I mean, they
Yeah,
added
they
Darius
are-
Slay. They added
they are
Jalen
ancient.
Ramsey. They lose Minkah Fitzpatrick, who's kind of been on the decline anyway. And now they're dealing, with a holdout from TJ Watt who wants an extension, and Cam Hayward's up there in age. Like they're just an old team, but they seemingly do it every year. They've always been an old team, though.
There's going to be a stretch where they're going to lose 3 straight games.
Of course, it's the Steelers, and then there'll be a
And-
stretch when they win 4 straight games.
And I'm sure. But in that 3-game stretch where they're not winning games based on Arthur Smith's offensive scheme and offensive mindset, what's going to happen? Aaron Rodgers is going to throw a bitch fit, and they're going to start throwing the football more. And when they win a game, Rodgers is going to be like, see? Like that we know that's what's going to happen. You can put
They've
that
added
stamp
so many personalities to this team. I mean, you look at
It's
Jalen
horrible.
Ramsey, you look at DK Metcalf, you look at Aaron Rodgers. Like, this is a very combustible locker room, but that's something that Mike
Tomlin's very
Tomlin-
good at.
He's very good at keeping these guys in line. So,
And
we'll see what
I
happens.
agree with that. But when your top wide receiver that you just paid and the quarterback you brought in start getting angry at the offensive coordinator because he's running 66% of the time.
Mhm.
I mean, the future Hall of Famer and DK Metcalf are going to start bitching. Like
Yeah.
they're going to start bitching. And that's not going to be good. And it's not a Philadelphia Eagles setup where 1 week they can just throw A.J. Brown the football 15 times, get him 150 yards and 2 touchdowns and make it better. They can't do that. The team's just not built like that. So they're going to have to consistently throw the football. I don't think the offense works very well this year because I think the quarterback's going to have too much of an ego. There's a chance Rodgers just changes the play at the line and says, fuck you, Arthur Smith. There's a real chance of that.
Yeah, it's true.
They'll throw 13 personnel out there, and Rodgers will be like, DK, run a 9 route. I'll have 17 hours of time because I have 8 blockers. You're 6'4". I'm just going to throw it up to you, and we're going to see what happens. Like, there's a real possibility that happens.
Yeah.
So, I don't trust this team whatsoever. The only thing that feels good is the running back because of the current situation. And the only thing that blows that up is Aaron Rodgers being a bitch about it. Kaleb Johnson has zero competition for 300 carries. Jaylen Warren will get his carries. He's not getting enough to steal them from Kaleb Johnson's value.
Yeah, I mean, he's never averaged 9 carries per game in any season that he's been in, Jaylen Warren. So, like, this whole talk about Jaylen Warren potentially being the lead guy, like, it's never made any sense to me at all.
Yeah.
You bring in Kaleb Johnson. As I mentioned before, like, Arthur Smith offenses for the last 5 years, they've ran the ball 500 or more times. And you do not have a quarterback that's going to take rush attempts this year, right? Najee Harris had 263 carries last year. So even if you just start with a baseline of 500 carries and you start working your way down, quarterback is going to handle maybe 10%. That's at minimum or at maximum like 50 carries, right? Yeah. Your RB3 for whatever the ancillary carries, maybe that's around 8%. Wide receivers in an Arthur Smith offense are usually like 0.5%. So you're talking like no more than 5 carries to the wide receiver position. RB2 at maximum is going to see about 150 carries. So just that baseline right there puts Kaleb Johnson at 255. And that's with 500 as the baseline, right? This could very easily go over 500. Jaylen Warren's not going to hit 150. So all Kaleb Johnson's carries are just doing this. They're just making their way up. This guy has a legitimate chance to hit 300 carries in year one. His running style of that outside zone scheme fits with exactly what Arthur Smith wants to run. And he did not have that in Najee Harris last year. He will be able to run his running game the way that he wants to run it, the way that it can be most effective. Kaleb Johnson scored over 50% of Iowa's touchdowns last year. That's not talked about enough. The Iowa Hawkeyes scored 40 total touchdowns.
I was about to say, didn't Iowa score like 20 touchdowns?
They scored 40 total, and Kaleb Johnson scored 21 just on the ground. So, like, that should tell you that he's got at least 10 plus touchdown potential, right?
Yeah.
If you give him a bare minimum of 4 yards per carry at 300 carries, that's 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns. That's math that I love. And that's going to outpace his RB26 range. He doesn't need to catch a single fucking pass for me. Like, I don't care.
I think both of these Pittsburgh running backs.
Honestly, they're both good value because Jaylen Warren's going to still see a lot of pass attempts because they don't have a wide receiver too.
Yeah, I mean, there's a chance that I would say there's a good chance both of these running backs finish inside the top 20. I'm not saying high inside the top 20. I think at the end of the day, I think Jaylen Warren finishes higher than Kaleb Johnson just because of the PPR output and knowing that.
To me, that's just going to depend on how many carries he actually gets.
Correct, but I just know that Aaron Rodgers is a very willing, like, he threw the ball to Aaron Jones, no problem. Like, he loved to swing pass.
And he threw it a ton to Breece Hall last year, too.
Exactly. Like, so he loves throwing to the running back. So I think that's going to and Jaylen Warren hasn't seen that kind of receiving volume in his career. And he's very effective in the open space. So I just think in terms of efficiency standpoint, I think Jaylen Warren's going to be better. I don't know where Kaleb Johnson is in a standard league, but I can't imagine he's being drafted much higher than 26. Kaleb Johnson, there's a heavy chance that guy finishes top 12, maybe even top 10 in standard. Because you don't care about receptions in standard. That means nothing to you. So who's to say Kaleb Johnson's on a top 10 running back in standard if you play in those leagues? It feels like a steal.
I'm gonna go convert my scoring to standard and see what it does to me.
I would like to know, if you can do that, I would like to know
see where he lands in mine. I'm curious
where that would end up, or if somebody could tell me maybe his ADP in standard, that would I find that interesting. And then even to put like the two guys we have highlighted, DK Metcalf's a great standard guy.
Yeah, this might be the most standard team in fantasy football.
I mean, straight up, DK Metcalf is not a PPR monster.
I have them both as top 30 backs. Jaylen Warren is 23 for me. Kaleb Johnson, I believe, was 27. This jumps Kaleb ahead of Warren, but they're 24 and 25. It doesn't get them into my...
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
But again, I'm not giving him nearly the like touchdown upside or anything that he could have as a rookie. I only have him with 8, which is still good. It's just not record breaking.
I could see Warren finishing like 18, 19.
Yeah, that's fair.
So DK Metcalf, he's a guy that it tends to get inflated on the standard side of things because
Kaleb moves up to my 22 in standard.
Okay. There you go. 4 to 5 receptions a game. Sometimes DK have a pop game every now and then, but I mean, there's games where DK will go 2 for 88 and a touchdown. And those, at the end of the day, those 2 points most of the time are not really killing you or helping you in PPR leagues. So like Ryan said, this is a very standard darling type team. And in theory, this should be a good season for DK Metcalf. In theory.
Yeah, that's how I'm looking at it. Is everything about this offense says that DK Metcalf is going to be hyper targeted as the wide receiver 1. Let's start with the quarterback. Aaron Rodgers is always hyper targeted as wide receiver 1, and as Josh has aptly pointed out, this isn't Devontae Adams and this isn't Garrett Wilson.
No,
but it's still Aaron Rodgers, and so he's going to find a way to force that ball into DK Metcalf. It may not be the 155 targets we saw from Garrett Wilson last year, but I think 130 to 140, which is good for DK, because when you go back in his career, he's only crossed over 130 targets one time. That was 2022, where he finished with 90 catches, 1,048 yards, and 6 touchdowns.
Wasn't even his best season either.
And not even his best season, exactly, but that's his most targets.
Yeah.
So you're going to have a competent quarterback who's going to hyper target this wide receiver 1. And then I looked at Arthur Smith, that the numbers don't bear out fantastically, but George Pickens was 105 targets last year, whereas the next wide receiver was 53. So, and that's with George Pickens missing 3 games, and Calvin Austin and Van Jefferson did not miss games. So again, everything about this just screams that DK Metcalf is going to be targeted a ton, and you can get him as the wide receiver 22. This is the exact opposite of what we've been complaining about on these last couple episodes we've recorded. You are not drafting DK Metcalf at his ceiling, and I venture to say you may be drafting him at his floor, because I don't have him having the greatest season ever. I do have him over 1,100 yards, but only 8 touchdowns. If I were to throw 2 more touchdowns, he's my wide receiver 17. If I were to throw 2 more, which DK has scored double digits twice in his career, maybe 3 times, he jumps all the way up to wide receiver 13. DK Metcalf could be an insane value this season on an offense that is going to be focused on him in the passing game.
Yeah, he's my wide receiver 13 too. I have him just over 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns. Like, at the end of the day, Rodgers is going to throw touchdowns. That's what he does. I mean, he didn't have much to work with outside of Adams and Wilson in New York last year, and I believe he threw 28 touchdowns last year, 25. Like,
there's no one else catching touchdowns on this.
That's what I'm saying, and there's really nobody else here either. So it's DK or it's the tight ends. That's who he's throwing touchdowns to.
I was going to say, with the addition of
doing it,
with the addition of Jonnu Smith, that devalues Freiermuth's potential in the red zone. So that even puts more, like, he's going to look to DK even more. Even though there's 2 tight ends in the field, he's going to look to DK even more because, again, Muth isn't the lone ranger out there. So this is a really good would you rather. This is one of the ones where this game kind of does really come into fun play here. I'm going to take and say that, because below him are Xavier Worthy, Jameson Williams, Devonta Smith. Maybe Devonta Smith, but I would venture to say Metcalf. You're not taking any of those guys over DK Metcalf.
I love Devonta, and I'm still taking DK.
I do too.
Yeah. The only guy, maybe, again, it's right here, 5'1", Cortland Sutton.
Nah, I'll take DK.
My love of Sutton would trump DK. I think Sutton has a really good year, especially contract year. He's going to go for his last contract. But I completely understand. So we're going to go above DK now. And it's simple. On the clock, who would you pick on the clock? This isn't what do your rankings say. This isn't what is that. It's you're on the clock. Who are you taking? And this is, we're going to say this will be your wide receiver 2. For me, this is normally a wide receiver 1, but this is going to be your wide receiver 2. DK or DJ Moore, Ryan?
DJ Moore. You do this to me every time. I feel like an asshole. I sit here and talk a guy up, and then you're like, let me give you every player you like better than him.
DJ Moore's our Keenan Allen. Josh.
DK.
Okay. DK or Tet? I feel like this one's pretty easy.
DK Metcalf.
Yeah, rookie. DK or Mike Evans?
I'll go DK Metcalf.
Oh, Josh.
DK.
DK or JSN? I already know Josh's answer. Ryan.
DK Metcalf.
Yep. DK or Terry McLaurin? Ryan.
Terry McLaurin.
Yeah. Josh.
Yeah, I would take McLaurin there.
Okay, we'll go a couple more above. I think it's still going to be the guys above, but we'll see. Devontae Adams or DK? Ryan.
This would be tough for me because I'm still coming to grips with what I believe Devontae Adams is going to be. I'm going to go Adams, but DK deserves a good look here.
Josh.
I have Metcalf higher, but I do think I would take Adams ahead of DK.
On the clock, I'm taking Devontae Adams. With Matthew Stafford, I'm taking Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
Garrett Wilson or DK Metcalf? Ryan.
This is the range where DK Metcalf belongs. On the clock, I'll go Garrett Wilson. Oh my God, I don't know. I'll go Garrett Wilson.
Josh.
DK.
So I will preface this. The DK's the 4.7. Garrett Wilson's the 3.5. So you could get both if you really wanted to. On the clock, Garrett Wilson. All I know is the best year Justin Fields had, he had this guy.
He had Garrett Wilson.
That's all I know. So statistically, that's what I'm seeing.
Best year of his pro career now.
Also, if Garrett Wilson can be a wide receiver 10 with Zach Wilson, the dude
That's
can
true.
be a top 10 receiver with Justin Fields.
It's just the volume I'm worried about.
Agreed. Agree on that. Marvin Harrison Jr. or DK Metcalf? Ryan.
I'm going to bet on the breakout, especially after reading Kelly's article. Give me Marvin Harrison Jr.
Josh.
I don't know. I think Marvin Harrison's about as swole now as DK Metcalf.
Yeah, that's true.
At the pictures, but
I want to see him fight.
Right? I'm still going DK.
We're now up into the second round.
Yeah.
I already know all of our answers here. T. Higgins or DK Metcalf? Ryan.
DK Metcalf.
Yeah, Josh.
DK.
If I could guarantee you 17 games of T. Higgins, Ryan.
T. Higgins.
Josh.
T. Higgins.
Exactly. Okay, so it's purely injury based, and the guy's going to miss games. Tyreek Hill or DK Metcalf? Basically, swole Tyreek Hill or Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, I'll stick with Tyreek Hill.
Okay, Josh.
Yeah, it's Hill for me.
Okay, Rashee Rice has skyrocketed up draft boards. Rashee Rice or DK Metcalf? Ryan.
Rashee Rice is another one I'm trying to come to grips with. I'll take DK Metcalf, actually. I know that's not going to put me on the right side of this show. So.
Josh. Guys.
Again, I'll preface.
Where do you go to
I have
school?
Metcalf higher. I would take Rice here.
I say you guys are all about
it's a
Rashee
more
Rice.
pass-friendly offense,
That's
and I get the target hog side of DK, but a healthy Rice is going to outplay DK.
That's
Easily.
fair.
Not even
Like
a
I said, I'm
question.
coming to grips with Rice. I'm not anti-Rice. I have a lot to learn about Rashee Rice over the next month.
Damn. I have no chance at Rashee Rice now. Second round.
No,
Goodbye.
what is that ADP? Oh my God.
210.
Yeah, skyrocketed.
Here's where I think the official break is, where it's not really a question anymore.
I can't believe that we're getting DK. We're comparing him to second round wide receivers, and there's a question. So
2-6. Maybe not this guy, but definitely the next one. Lad McConkey or DK Metcalf?
oh no, it's Lad McConkey.
Josh.
You'll hate me for this, but I do have Metcalf one spot higher than Lad McConkey.
I know. That's why I said maybe not this guy.
But I think I would still take Lad over DK.
Yeah, smart. Thank you. After that, it's A.J. Brown, Drake London, Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah,
Not
you've
even-
reached the point. None of those guys are. It's not even a question anymore.
But that is the middle of the second round is where Lad McConkey is.
And you're getting DK 2 full rounds later.
Two full rounds later. Next to guys like Xavier Worthy and Jamison Williams.
Yeah.
That's wild to me.
You may not like his quarterback, but his quarterback's going to target him.
The offense is set up for DK Metcalf to do something really special in Pittsburgh.
Yes. And then the question is that we really have been trying to figure out who is the second target in this offense. Because, again, I will read you off the receivers according to the depth chart on our lads right now. It is DK Metcalf, Robert Woods at the right wide receiver. In the slot is Calvin Austin. Backing them up, Scotty Miller, Roman Wilson, Ben Skoranek. After that, you have 3 undrafted, and then, those guys don't matter. Your tight ends, Pat Fryermuth, the newly acquired Jonas Smith, Darnell Washington, who is now dead and gone with the Jonas Smith acquisition, Connor Hayward, and then, of course, your running backs, Jalen Warren, Kaleb Johnson. But obviously, we're talking about the passing game. Who's going to be that second target?
Got to be
You're looking
Chaka,
at
right?
Well, here's what we're looking at. Jalen Warren, Jonnu Smith, Pat Freiermuth, Roman Wilson, other unnamed receiver, Robert fucking Woods, baby. The resurgence of Bobby Trees. Not going to happen. I think he's 36. Like, he's so old.
You can't make this Jonnu trade and not make this guy your wide receiver too. It's so fucking weird to me, but it's got to be Jonnu.
But that would be an Arthur Smith move, though. To do that.
70 targets during his last season with Arthur Smith. So,
but I could see Jalen Warren getting like 85.
Oh no, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that's a negative for Jonnu Smith. That like Arthur Smith could just not utilize him properly. So,
it's if we're going second in targets, I think it's Jalen Warren.
I think it's Jonnu.
I think it'll be Metcalf, Jonnu, Warren, Freiermuth. I think that'll be the.
Wow, you think so?
That's what I think.
I've killed Freiermuth after this trade. I think I bumped him into the 30 target range. So.
Oh no,
that's
not. No way. That's way too low.
When
you look at the year that he had Jonnu in Atlanta, it was 90 targets to 70 targets at the tight end position. Like that. One nuked the other, but didn't nuke him to the point where it was like, you no longer exist. Like Pitts was still very involved in that passing offense because they didn't have a wide receiver 2 opposite Drake London. Because that was the season before Darnell Mooney.
I take back the 80 receptions. I just went back to look at Aaron Jones's targets when he was in Green Bay. In the last year with Aaron Rodgers in 2022. He was second on the team in targets at 72 targets. Do you know who Alan Lazard was one with 100 targets. Gross. But then it was Robert Tonyan, Romeo Doubs. So it went wide receiver 1,
it's
running back, tight end. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's a chance that it does end up like that again. I'm going to go back to 2020 when the Green Bay Packers had good wide receivers such as Davante Adams, just to really, hone this in. But even then, it still didn't matter. If here is your DK Metcalf blueprint right here. There were 2 guys tied for second in targets. It was Aaron Jones and Marquez Valdes-Scantling at 63 targets. Robert Tonyan was at 59. So what we're telling you is pretty damn close to what it's looking like. Davante Adams was the wide receiver 1. He had 149 targets that year. Yeah. He had almost 100 more targets than the second next guy. And that guy was a running back.
Yes.
Davante Adams had 115 catches, almost 1,400 yards, 18 touchdowns. I'm not telling you that's what DK is going to do. What I'm telling you is DK is going to have 150 targets.
I'm at 138, so yeah.
I mean,
I'm at 135. So
the receiver breakdown was Adams at 149, Scantling at 63, Lazard at 46, and then it was Equanimous St. Brown at 13.
Hell yeah.
Mercedes Lewis had more targets than the 4th receiver on the team. Yeah. There is your DK Metcalf blueprint. That is why Josh and Ryan are like, yeah, we'll take him in the 2nd round. No problem. Because this is what Aaron.
Second round. That's the best part.
And that's the thing is like.
Well, this opened my eyes, Joe. You and I have been talking. We talk about this a lot on the draft strategy shows. The 4th round is where you and I are looking for wide receiver 1s, and I love DJ Moore, but now I at least have some competition when I'm considering if it's DJ Moore or maybe even DK Metcalf now as my wide receiver 1. So.
Just to hammer it home one more time. In 2021, because this one's even more ridiculous. Davante Adams had 169 targets. That was 104 more targets. No, I know. But that was 104 more targets than the next closest guy, which was Aaron Jones. So I am all aboard Jalen Warren as the 2nd target in this offense. Still going to be 80 less targets than DK Metcalf. But it is insane if you want numbers and all that stuff, because this makes me like DK Metcalf a lot more. I'm still taking DJ Moore over him, but just putting that out there that this is who Aaron Rodgers is. And the tight end was like 7th in targets, and it was Josiah DeGuara. Fun fact. Wasn't even Robert Tunyon. So, best bets. Josh, if Kaleb Johnson, 1,000 rushing yards, that's plus 225 on DraftKings. If you're going to have 300 carries,
that's what I'm saying.
all you got to do is average 3.3 yards per carry, and that's horrible in the NFL. So, he needs 800. He needs 225 carries, averaging 4 yards a carry. That's very doable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very doable. Ryan, you have DK Metcalf over 1,000 receiving yards. I mean, from the stats, it just seems like a lock at this
positive
point.
Money. And we recorded all these episodes on the Mike Evans episode day. So I was just like, let's find 1,000-yard wide receivers.
I say whatever his targets are. I don't know if you can bet targets, but like,
nah, that's not one I've ever seen.
I don't say his targets would be pretty high. The defensive side of the ball, guys, the defense got worse. Got worse.
Stupid trade.
They are trotting out. They're listing Jalen Ramsey as a nickel corner, by the way.
Yeah, I saw that.
He's at his advanced age. That man cannot play in the slot.
He was never a nickel corner to begin with.
I know he was an outside corner. That's why are you listing him at nickel? That doesn't make any sense to me. I know Joey Porter Jr. is on the outside, but fuck, move that kid inside. He at least has young legs
and a chance. Yeah,
and a chance. God, I can't give you a confident bet on the defense side of the ball. Cam Hayward's sack total is probably going to be low. Take the over. He's 97 years old. He's the same age that is on his jersey. It doesn't matter. Cam Hayward is standing the test of time, and until he keels over and dies in a Steelers uniform at the 30-yard line, he's going to have close to 10 sacks every single season. So I like Cam Hayward's over. He's been the model of one of the best defensive tackles in NFL history. Very consistent. Rest of the team's dog shit, especially if TJ Watt holds out.
Oh, they're in trouble.
They have nothing. Cam Hayward's sack total is going much lower if TJ Watt's held out.
Because they can focus on him.
Highsmith is horrible. Highsmith is a product of TJ Watt.
I mean,
that's exactly what Alex Highsmith is. Tough looks for the Steelers defense. Tomlin will probably get them right. They always seem to. They play Cleveland twice. Yeah, they play Cleveland twice. They find a way. Like they're gonna play 500 teams because that's how their schedule lines up. It is what it is. They're gonna find ways. Next up, Los Angeles Chargers. Oh, we got to talk about Ladd McConkey. We go from the worst to the best.
There you go.
We got to talk about Ladd McConkey. What a day. What a time to be alive. And then I don't know what we're doing tomorrow on the live show. I think it's ADPs again. Wait, look at this. See, everything's better. If this is your first show ever watching us, just know it only gets better. It only gets better.
We lightened things up the second half of this show.
No, I'm not saying it was bad. I'm just saying anytime we have to talk Aaron Rodgers,
it started pretty bad.
Yeah, it's a bad show. So it only gets better.
Joe can't help himself. That's why.
Look at this fucking guy. Just look at Aaron Rodgers in the face. Do you think he's married? I think he's faking it. I think he's faking it. I don't think he's married. I think he's just wearing a ring to everybody shut up. He wants attention.
Let's move. Let's go.
Josh is tired. Hey, you're the one that wanted to do
Not even that. I'm just tired of talking about Aaron Rodgers.
I was ready to pack it up at 2. All I know is that we haven't seen his wife, and that's concerning. It's not concerning to me. I don't give a shit. It's just I think Aaron Rodgers' ego is out of fucking control. All right.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, just a little bit. That is all she wrote, ladies and gentlemen. Josh, Ryan, myself. This has been the Pittsburgh Steelers episode. The worst episode you will see from No Pun Intended on a yearly basis. Not because it's bad. Because we don't like the Steelers. I mean, it's just straight. We don't like the Steelers. It's arguably the most hated team between all of us. So if you were to pile it up. Always remember, defense wins championships, offense wins fantasy football. We will see you on the